This is Sam from Gaza. I'm still alive and it's the day 43 for the war in Gaza. And today 600 people were killed in Gaza under bombing. 200 of them are in Al-Fakhura school. Al-Fakhura school is an UNRWA school in Jabalia refugee camp. It's the second time to be bombed this war, and the third to be bombed if we count the one in the year 2011. Now, imagine this. You left everything. You left your home. You left your life. You just fled, escaped from the bomb, escaped from the death to a school. Then you'll find the death there waiting for you. And in the worst ways, being killed by being cut into pieces under rockets and in the middle of the night, in the darkness. There's no even media. There's no media.
لا يا عمي
والله هيهم نزلوا يا زلمه على الشارع.
هيا نروح بس روح.
Damn. I wish Israel is not asking us to evacuate. Just like encouraging people to evacuate from the north and to call them if anyone from Hamas stand in the face of the people who not evacuate.
انا هي موجود جوا الخيمه حاليا. طبعا الميه بتنزل علي. عمو ايش بتسوي؟ ايش بتسوي؟ الدنيا برد. وين الخيمه تاعتكم؟ طيب يلا روح الخيمه. ليش تمرضي؟ روح بسرعه يلا روح. الله يعطيك العافيه يا خالتي.
الله يعافيك الله يرضى عليك.
جاهزين بالله لفصل الشتاء؟
والله ما احنا جاهزين، اقول لك جاهزين بنكذب. اللي طالع من بيته لا هدمه لا عفش لا شيء كيف بده يكون جاهز؟ اللي انقصف البيت على العفش اللي فيه، يعني منيح اللي البني ادمين طلعوا. اللي طلع الله يعزك بنبز على ابنه ما فيش. هاي هذه تو ابن حلال ومارك شحدني اياهم لابن ابني. الهيو من اول الحرب نفس الغير والله ما تغير والحمد لله. الحمد لله.
لما شكيت عليك وش عملتوا طيب؟
والله نقلنا
ايش نسوي؟ نقلنا كذا هنضلنا هيخرج.
وانتوا وين حتناموا؟ وين
والله ما انا عارف. اقسم بالله. والله ما انا عارف. مش عليك في حال.
وين مصورة؟ وين يا حليوة؟
كيف حالك؟
اسمر يا اسمراني مين اسك علي.
يا ساتر يا رب. طول بحياة ولادك طول. انت طول خش طول. اولادي بنعسوا قاعدين بدهم يناموا مش عارفين يناموا. وين اروح؟ انا شبمين يا الله جد. انا شبمين. وبعدين يا ناس بدنا نعيش بدنا ننام اولادنا. طلع يا امة محمد وين نروح؟ حرب الله يعين الناس. والله كلنا معين امراض ورملوا. حياة صعبة جدا.
ولا حتى جاكيته معاي ولا بنطلون. نشحت من الناس. حط ايدك هنا كلها ميه.
تفضل ما يا ساتر.
الله فوق.
ما شاء الله الله.
عندك طفل انا مولوده لسه اول امبارح. هيا وين البنات؟
جاد
اول امبارح ما لسه مولوده. اكرت حصان. مش حليب حطينا لها بس كذاب. اول امبارح.
هاي طفله عمرها شهر.
ايش بردانة؟
ها
هاي تاني نسكب.
يعني انا حاليا موجود جوا الخيمة. انا هي موجود جوا الخيمة حاليا. طبعا الميه بتنزل علي. فما بالكم الاطفال اللي عمره شهر وشهرين ويوم ويومين بدهم يتحملوا كل هذا؟ هي يا الله طلع. ايش يا حجه وجهك صار ميه.
شايف وين بدنا نروح يا ابني؟
غطي البنت كويس يا ابني. غطيه ودفيها.
غطي صغار.
دفيه ودفيها. غطي الجرده.
يا الله.
والله دولتنا فيه. والله
بردانة؟ بردانة؟
هذا عيان
يا احلاك.
لو جبته من قسم الاطفال.
ايش بدك؟ ايش؟ ايش؟
جوعان.
جوعانة بدك تاكلي؟ لك أحلى أكل يجي لك القد. أنت ما عندكيش أواعي هيك طويلة؟ ما عندكيش؟
طلعت ولا حاجة معي. هذا اليوم شحت له شحد الولد لبسته.
أنت طلعتوا من البيت معكوش ولا شيء؟
ولا حاجة، شحت شحدة.
بس إن الله والله العظيم.
The Israeli army is just behind us. They like shooting in the sky to scare people to flee.
أنا شو أحكي؟ حساب إسرائيل زي دولة ديمقراطية دبلوماسية. وين ديمقراطية؟ وين ديمقراطية؟ حرام عليك. والدي ووالدتي وأخويا وبنت أخويا وأختي والله أخويا عريس. يا الله عريس. حرام عليك. ابنه يا أخويا. أيوة صغير طفل. يا الله طفل. بس حسبي الله عليهم. اخواني اللي متصاوب اللي مش قادر. اتحطيت عزوا فينا. أمتنا الناس أمتنا.
من وين نازحين؟
من الشمال.
احنا ايش الشرق الشمال.
من غزة؟
من
دار مين انت؟
انا ريفة.
ايش اسمك انت وعمرك؟ احكي لي اسمك.
انا رجال احمد هذا ريفة.
كمان مرة؟
ابويا صار تاريخ بينصفنا والعالم كله بيعرفنا. نحن ما حدا بيخوفنا. بدينا السماء.
It's November the 18th, 2023 evening. What I'm doing now, I hate it. I really hate what I'm doing now. But we need to record this for the world. Today was the deadliest day in Khan Yunis as a city alone. 53 official casualties dead, together with over 400 injured. 4 different families wiped from the registry. We are in front of the morgue. We want to keep the sanctuarity and the privacy of those who are dead and their families, so we won't take any more pictures. The morgue right now is full. The dead bodies are lining up beside the morgue, awaiting to be taken to their burial zone tomorrow with their families. It is too dangerous at night for people to go and bury their dead, so they have to wait until tomorrow. I also got news now that one of the people who were killed was a friend of mine who I got to know 30 days ago. His name was Abu Ali Awad. This man was one of the first people to help me to get to know around the place. He used to make me tea. He was a very humble man. And yesterday we were chatting. He was telling me, "Oh Mansour, how are you doing? I feel I'm gonna die. I feel I'm gonna be a martyr. I feel I'm gonna see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet and his companions soon." And subhanallah, today he got his wish. Lillahi alhamd. Abu Ali, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take you in his mercy. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept you in his highest place in paradise. أنتم السابقون ونحن اللاحقون. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Regardless of it all, we continue to remain steadfast. We continue to strive. Inshallah, on behalf of all the free people of this world, we will continue fighting the good fight for a better humanity. Be safe. Keep us in your prayers, and hopefully we will see you soon here in a free Palestine as a light towards all of the free world.
These are the latest Gaza toll. I'm gonna read it out. I wrote it because it's a lot. 11,500 killed, 29,800 wounded, 1.5 million left their homes, 22,300 homes were damaged. 42,000 houses were completely destroyed. 95 government buildings and 74 mosques were completely destroyed. So, is this a war against Hamas? Or is it an ethnic cleansing in order to occupy the land, to take its natural resources and displace the people so they never come back?
It is November 18th. I have updates for today. If I miss anything, please comment it. Let's start off by discussing what is happening at Al-Shifa Hospital. Israeli terrorist forces claim that they did not force anybody to evacuate, but what we are hearing is that people were in fact forced to evacuate. Not only that, some of them were held at gunpoint to evacuate. 5 doctors were permitted to stay in Al-Shifa in order to coordinate what happens with those who are injured as well as the premature babies. Those that evacuated are headed south, but the conditions just walking are atrocious. The bodies everywhere, and a lot of children and elderly are unable to continue walking. 6 kidney dialysis patients and 22 intensive care patients have died. And it is expected that many of those who did evacuate the hospital and are now headed south will most likely die along the way because they are not receiving any medical treatment. Israeli terrorist forces dug up the mass grave that was at Al-Shifa Hospital, and they took 100 bodies that were already buried. And all of the victims that recently died were denied burial. The women who were evacuated from Al-Shifa Hospital were forced to strip down by Israeli terrorist forces. Many were body searched in a humiliating fashion. Many women were forced to take off their clothes and be subjected to body searches. These were very humiliating incidents. And on top of that, those who were strip searched, held hostage, and interrogated by Israeli terrorist forces were subject to abuse as well as withholding of any food or water. They weren't allowed access to anything. That is all the information that I have in regards to Al-Shifa Hospital. If I missed anything or if you know of anything else, please let us know. 32 people from one family in northern Gaza have been killed by Israeli terrorist forces. This includes 19 children. This is the Abu Habal family in the Jabalia refugee camp. Israeli terrorist forces attacked Al-Fakura school and killed at least 50 people. Now, it should be noted that Al-Fakura school is being targeted in the exact same manner that Al-Shifa has been targeted. This school was bombed in 2009, 2014, and now twice already in the past month. Medical teams are trapped inside of Ahli Arab Hospital due to Israeli terrorist forces. Buildings surrounding Ahli Arab Hospital have been leveled. Dozens of bodies are scattered all over the streets. Many of the bodies mutilated past the point of recognition. 40 Palestinians were illegally detained by Israeli terrorist forces in the occupied West Bank. That brings it to a total of 2,850 since October 7th. Olive farmers in the West Bank were attacked by Israeli terrorist forces as well as the Israeli settlers. In these attacks, they stole their crops as well as their tools that they used for harvesting. They have also forced many of them to stop their harvesting and to leave their land. The ITF and the settlers have also made it a point to throw tear gas at a lot of the landowners. It's clear that they're not just illegally detaining, killing, and displacing Palestinians in Gaza, but they are doing the exact same thing in the occupied West Bank. And they are arming the Israeli settlers to help them in doing this. This is nothing new. The amount of settler violence against Palestinians in the occupied West Bank was reaching an all-time high right before October 7th. There are multiple instances of Israeli settlers running over Palestinian children with their cars and killing them. Just a few years ago, I witnessed a video of Israeli settlers who hit a young Palestinian boy with their car and stood over him as blood was gushing out of his mouth, and he was crying, and they were laughing at him and saying death to Arabs. And I'm telling you guys this information, as graphic as it is, because you guys need to know that this has been going on. This violence towards Palestinians has been going on for 75 fucking years. The only way to move forward is through Palestinian liberation. Remember to protest, boycott, and organize. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Every piece of news that comes out makes me so angry, and it leaves me so heartbroken. Israel's foreign minister, Eli Cohen, did an interview, and in that interview, he said that Israel plans to occupy Gaza indefinitely. He went on to say that there will be Israeli security control from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea at all times. This is clearly a jab at the Palestinian resistance chant, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. He then went on to reject any notion that Palestinian Authority would play a role in Gaza's future governance. And this just solidifies what they have already said in the past, that they would have full control over Gaza, including 24/7 military presence. They still continue to say that they vow to eradicate the Hamas government and its members from the Gaza Strip before ending its current bombardment. 12,300 people have been killed by Israeli terrorist forces, including more than 5,000 children and 3,300 women. This is not eradicating Hamas. This is just a full-blown fucking genocide against the Palestinian people. We've already heard the IOF soldiers in their fucking videos talking about taking Gaza, taking the occupied West Bank, taking Lebanon, taking other surrounding countries. We know that this is a part of a bigger plan, and that's why it has to be stopped now. We cannot allow them to continue this shit and to cover it up with the excuse of terrorists, when in fact, they are the fucking terrorists. They came to the Middle East and they created chaos. They ravaged the fucking land. They kill the people. They displace the people. They abuse the people. And guess who fucking pays for it? America. It is fucking shameful. We cannot allow their plan to go forward. Absolutely fucking not. The liberation of Palestinian people is a liberation for all. We don't stop. They feel so confident going into interviews saying shit like this because they know that America's not going to hold them accountable. They know no governments are going to hold them accountable. Fucking psychopaths.
Here are the latest updates coming from Gaza. Today is November 18th. The Israeli occupation forces forcibly displaced the people who are taking refuge in the Al-Shifa hospital, along with the patients and medical staff. They only left 5 doctors to take care of 200 patients. And this... how the Israeli occupation forces terrorize Palestinians who are taking the safe route to the south. A United Nations school in northern Gaza was targeted this morning by an Israeli airstrike, killing 200 Palestinians taking refuge. And I'm not going to be able to show any footage because how gruesome it was. This scene is of a doctor whom his father was taking refuge in the United Nations school, in which he was shocked that his father was one of the victims of the airstrike. "32 were killed in Al Jabalia camp by an Israeli airstrike. Khan Yunis in the south of Gaza was also targeted, killing 15. ربنا يخفف ويصبر على أهلنا في غزة يا رب آمين آمين آمين. The day will come when first-hand testimonies by physicians who are now treating patients in Gaza will be so valuable. Let's listen to Dr. Tom Potokar, a doctor in Gaza who was part of the Red Crescent.
I'm so tired today, losing my voice as well. I think it's partly because the team has been working non-stop 12 plus hours a day for 3 weeks now, nearly without a single break. But it's also just the relentlessness of seeing so many destroyed lives, so many shattered bodies and burnt bodies, particularly in children. It's just such a tragedy, and knowing that these people, you know, what happened in a couple of seconds will be with them for the rest of their lives. And yeah, we can do a little bit to maybe help them, although it's frustrating we don't have the right stuff to do a better job, which is also something that gets you after a bit, of knowing if you had better kit, you know, better materials, you'd be able to do a better job and deal with more patients. But it's just seeing so many people in such a short space of time with such awful injuries. Today we had to disarticulate somebody's shoulder. That means take the whole arm off at the height of the shoulder because it was you know, shattered and couldn't be salvaged at all. Young man, and yeah, just one of many. I just hope, and I'm sure the whole team, and I would hope everyone just hopes that this comes to an end soon.
And nowhere it's talked about how much what these doctors are seeing taking toll on them. We have a term in medicine, physicians turnover. One of the types of physicians turnover is physicians who stop practicing. Part of it is because of burnout, and other part because of what they see during their years of practice. And I have no idea how what these doctors are seeing now in Gaza will affect their lives.
Seeing all the people in Gaza losing their life, and on top of all of that saying thank God, and they don't even have a roof to cover their heads, they don't even have shoes to walk with, they don't even have decent clean clothes to wear, they probably didn't even have a shower for the past month, they didn't have any decent meal for the past month, they're probably starving. Makes me think all of that happening to a person and at the end say thank God, it should make you think and me for the least things we have, we should be not just thankful, more than thankful, and actually give back to our people and community. Gaza people have taught the world how to live. Gaza people taught the world how to live. Remember this.
Real urgent, guys. In the West Bank, the Israeli army is kicking out people out of their houses in Nablus and Jenin. They are starting to kick out people in the street from their houses, and they're attacking villages and camps and murdering and taking a lot of people's lives and arresting people randomly, from old people, from little kids, from young kids. They are brutally abusing women, and they are making people right now leave their houses to destroy them. And they have dropped 2 bombs in the West Bank in Mukhayyam Balata, and they also killed many people and arrested a lot of people in the West Bank. Again, remember, all of this I said is in the West Bank, not in Gaza, in the West Bank, الضفة الغربية.
So when Gaza's getting bombed by Israel, it's not that Israel is dropping a bomb or 2 or 3 bombs a day and then taking a step back. There is literally a constant stream of bombs being dropped every 20 minutes. When I open the Telegram app to see the updates on where they're bombing, in 20 minutes, you get this much. Like, I made a list of it and translated it to English for you guys to see. In 20 minutes, this is what happened. 10 people killed in Surat refugee camp. 200 people killed after Israel bombs a school. White phosphorus is being dropped at the Jabalia refugee camp. 15 people killed as a result of a bombing in Khan Yunis. 50 people killed in a massacre at Jabalia refugee camp. Bombing of a center for people with special needs results in 1 martyr and many other injured. Israelis are stealing dead bodies from the fridges at Al-Shifa hospital. Israel forced people with severe injuries out of the hospital without food or water. Imagine this is just in 15 to 20 minutes. Like, we've been dealing with this for more than 40 days, 24/7, non-stop. This is what they're doing. If you still live in this world and you don't see that this is wrong on so many levels, and that this is a level of dehumanization of trauma that no one in the world can handle, like, our bodies and our brains cannot handle this. This shouldn't be a world that you accept living in. This is not a world that anyone should accept living in.
Another mass expulsion is underway in the Gaza Strip from the north to the south, this time with the patients and doctors of Al-Shifa, who are forced, some of them missing limbs, some of them needing to carry their family members, are being forced to walk from the north of Gaza to the south. About a half an hour ago, Dr. Munir Al-Barsh, the Director General of the Ministry of Health in Gaza, said they were about 2 kilometers into their journey now. He said that there are only 5 doctors for the 120 wounded who are still in Al-Shifa, many of whom are missing limbs. These were those that they were not able to evacuate because they needed to be carried and they couldn't carry them. And they were forced out quickly, essentially, he said, evicted from Al-Shifa. So the rest of the wounded, many of whom are missing limbs, are forced to evacuate south
on foot. Dr. Al-Barsh said that they are pushing hospital beds. Al-Barsh said that the Israeli occupation forces refused any help for the evacuating patients and doctors from the Red Crescent ambulances. They were forced to walk on foot. The premature babies are still in the hospital, but they are dying one by one. He said that the fourth one died. It was the last death that he had handled before he was forced to leave, and that he buried the baby in the hospital courtyard between the complex because they're not able to leave the complex because they will be shot. Al-Barsh told Al Jazeera on Friday evening that the Israeli army stole yesterday 145 dead bodies from Al-Shifa and the mass grave in the courtyard and took them in trucks, and we don't know what they did to them. So there have been reports like this, not just this one, but around Al-Shifa complex all day yesterday, that the Israeli occupation forces, they're not just taking the bodies that the hospital staff didn't have the chance to bury yet because of the bombardment. They are exhuming mass graves of bodies and taking them away. And video from Al-Quds of the chaos that ensued after the IOF gave the evacuation notice that they would have to leave within an hour. There are people everywhere, there are bodies everywhere, there are people on the floor, on cardboard, on the bare floor, blood everywhere. Every mobile person is standing around trying to figure out what to do. It looks like a child has worms on his stomach, but I don't know what it is. I don't know. This is just, people are carrying cots of people out. And at Al-Shifa, that's where doctors said the other day that patients that would be in the ICU are being treated on the floor. Al-Barsh just told Al Jazeera that 6 dialysis patients and 22 intensive care staff were murdered. An excerpt from Dr. Al-Barsh, translated from Arabic, talking to Al Jazeera live on air half-hour ago, with patients without limbs and very injured and displaced people as they walk south, forcibly walk south.
Many patients on beds, others on wheelchairs. We are helping one another. It is very dangerous for those patients and wounded to move. Many of them were still bleeding. Others require swift medical care, but we are helpless. The Israeli occupation forces destroyed not only the hospital, but all the neighborhood. The vicinity of the hospital is totally destroyed.
Dr. Al-Barsh told Al Jazeera that the scenes of the evacuation of Al-Shifa hospital was terrifying. Children and the wounded with amputated limbs were forced to walk in front of tanks. Yunir just told Al Jazeera, we expect that dozens of wounded people will lose their lives on the way after being expelled from Al-Shifa complex. Journalist Khadir Al-Zanoun reported that there are about 5,000 people total, which includes the injured, the medical staff, and the displaced, who are walking from the north to the south in another mass expulsion. They were all pushed out of Al-Shifa, and there will likely be another wave behind them of the people that couldn't leave at first because they were too wounded and the doctor staying with them. It is likely that most of them cannot make the trip. And let me be clear, the Israeli occupation forces did not give them an option to stay. They want everyone out there, forcing everyone out of the hospital. No exceptions.
الولد غير مدرك ما بيعرف الخطر.
This man is telling a journalist how his 13-year-old son with autism ran away in the midst of the bombing happening because the noise was triggering his sensory issues. His family has not been able to find him. And this is what I was talking about a few weeks ago with the disabled community in Palestine. As someone with 2 siblings, one of them with level 3 autism, this is me and my family's worst nightmare. I remember being a kid and watching my mom chase after my brother in like Toys R Us or in public when he would wander off. Even still, like as an adult before he went into assisted living, she would have to go after him if he ran off like out the house, and he would open the door and run off to the yard. This man does not know if his son is even alive or not, or if people are taking care of him. This is probably one of hundreds of people on the spectrum in Gaza.
TikTok, I need you to do your thing. You guys, please help me find this man, find where he works. He assaulted a Muslim woman yesterday on the train who was going to a pro-Palestinian protest. He snatched her flag and tore it in half and hit her twice. hit her twice, and she was by herself, and everyone in the train just gasped, but they didn't do anything to help her. She was by herself and hysterical, and he felt so entitled to do that to her because nobody was there to defend her, and everybody in the train just ignored the whole thing. Luckily, she was able to film him and have a good look at him. Please find this man. Find where he works. You guys help me, and I'm going to play the video right now.
You are gonna get arrested, okay? This is my property. You destroyed my property. Do you know that? This guy just took my flag and he destroyed my property. I'm not gonna touch him because I will let the law deal with you, okay? You are a genocide supporter. More than 11,500 Palestinians are dead, okay? Do you guys see this? Do you guys see this? Do you guys see this? He just put his hands on me. Do you guys see this? He's a terrorist supporter. You are gonna get arrested, sir. You are gonna get arrested.
No one called the police for her. Everybody just ignored her. And the moment she saw a police officer, she reported this man. And instead of the police officer stopping this man, they just let him go and try to interrogate her to explain what happened. So the police is most likely not going to do anything. So I need you guys to do something. The crimes towards Muslims and Arab Muslims in America has literally skyrocketed. Every day, all of us, especially if you wear the hijab, it's so scary to live in America right now because of these type of men. So please, you guys, do your thing and help me find this man. Help me find this man, report him, and we need to get some type of justice because the police doesn't seem like they're going to do anything with this crime. The censorship of pro-Palestinian voices online has literally skyrocketed. That's because Israel has asked Meta and TikTok to remove 80,000 posts relating to the Hamas war. It's not a war, first of all. It's a genocide. That's what it is. Call it what it is. Second of all, if you have seen your post being taken down or your account being flagged, this is the reason. This is the reason. And honestly, like, it speaks volumes. The fact that you have to literally resort to going to the head of these apps to like take out our post and try to silence us says everything we need to know. That we are in the right and you are just scared that in the court of public opinion, you are the bad guy. You are the oppressor. And everybody knows that. And a lot of people are waking up. And literally the statistics of how many people's, the amount of people that are pro-Israel are literally decreasing every single day. More people are waking up to understand that Israel is in the wrong here, and they've been in the wrong for the past 75 years. And that is a win for us. So if you've seen your post being censored, this is the reason. Hold on. This is Omar Suleiman's account. He is an Islamic leader, and basically his account has been flagged. People's accounts on TikTok also is being flagged. And this says everything we need to know. It's because we are winning and our truth is coming out and people are understanding that Israel is the bad guy here. And yeah, but you guys be careful of how you post your pictures. The graphic things, they will definitely flag you, but it's better for you to just take articles or, you know, light pictures and address the situation and describe what it is. Because if not, they're going to try to flag you. And, but yeah, let's continue posting, talking. That's not going to stop us.
So, two-state solution. I'm going to tell you about one region in the world that was also a British colony that actually took the two-state solution. And guess what? The trauma of that, we are still feeling it 2 generations later. I'm from India, and we were colonized by the British for more than 200 years. One of the most sinister tools that was used by the British Empire was called divide and rule. They would encourage infighting between all of these communal groups so that they would never unite to fight back against the colonizer. After 200 years in 1947, the whole subcontinent came together for one revolutionary fight for freedom. Britain's divide and rule strategy was irreversible. The country was finally partitioned into 2 states, Muslim-majority Pakistan and Hindu-majority India. It is one of the largest human migrations. 15 million people were displaced. Communities that had coexisted for millennia started attacking each other in terrible communal riots. Millions of people watched their families being murdered, and they had to leave the land that they'd lived in for generations and start again from scratch with nothing. The border between India and Pakistan is the most militarized zone in the world. People who eat the same food, wear the same clothes, watch the same movies, speak the same language, people who should be standing side by side as brothers and sisters have instead been at war, have instead been spitting at each other and shooting at each other for 75 years. If you want history to tell you whether a two-state solution divided by religion actually works, India and Pakistan are a prime example that it absolutely does not. My Pakistani, Bangladeshi, Indian brothers and sisters all over the world, please. Many of us are still carrying the trauma of partition passed on to us by our grandparents and parents. This is your sign to demand Palestinian liberation. Support Palestinians when they reject a two-state solution. We can't allow what happened to us to happen to them. We already know where that road goes.
One day you will lie to your grandkids about supporting the Palestinians.
1000% they're going to lie. They are absolutely going to lie. The tide is shifting right now. The social conventions around this will change. One day it won't be controversial to say that Palestinians deserve life, dignity, and freedom in their own land. And what happened in Gaza was a tragedy. It won't be. And because these are people who don't have moral courage, they will do whatever the social convention is. They have prioritized comfort. And because they've prioritized comfort so much, it will feel uncomfortable to feel like a bad person or like they were on the wrong side of history. So they'll lie. And not only will they will lie in creative ways that will surprise you. The people you see right now who don't want to hear anything from Palestinians or not interested in it at all will one day quote Palestinian poets, authors, writers, and scholars to you. They might do it in an instance where they want you to shut up about something else or they're trying to prove to you that they are morally upright. But I guarantee you, they will lie in some of the most creative ways you have ever seen. There's going to be other injustice happening in the world that you and people with moral courage like you are going to get worked up about. And those people are going to quote Palestinians to you to get you to shut up. Mark my fucking words. And I'm not one of the astrology girlies, but it is Scorpio season. I am a Scorpio. My birthday's on Saturday. What I'd love more than anything is freedom for all people living under oppression. And, you know, people say Scorpios, one of the things they have issues with is holding grudges. And I don't know that I necessarily believe in astrology, but I can see it's a helpful tool around reflection. And so I've heard that. I'm like, yeah, I am a person who's had issues with holding grudges, and learning to let stuff go and be a person who doesn't hold them anymore has been really freeing. But here is where I think a righteous grudge can come in useful. I have made it my life's mission to make art, to document people like that so that we don't forget. What's so clarifying to me in these moments is that those are some of your biggest obstacles when it comes to fighting for progress. And we need to know who they are. And so it is my responsibility to hold this grudge. It is, I really do feel that way. I will use every talent and skill at disposal for the rest of my life so that we do not forget where you stood. That's not to say people don't grow and change, that people can evolve. I'm a testament to how much people can grow and change. But some of you will remain exactly the same, and you will use the very voices that you are looking to silence now to provide cover for you, and I'm just not going to let that happen. I pay for extra cloud storage for such a time as this. Okay? Happy Scorpio season. Free Palestine.
This is what your boycott says about you. All right, let's start with McDonald's. If you boycotting them, I'm proud of you, okay? This is level 1. This is light work, all right? Because honestly, I can make a better burger on the engine of a car. All right, if you adding Starbucks to the list, duh. How many times are we gonna have to boycott them? We boycott them every summer. Leave them alone, okay? My granny makes a better coffee than this, and she uses prune juice. All right, level 2 is Black Friday. This is when a lot of companies make their money. It's not even Black Friday no more. It's Black November at this point. You have enough stuff. Y'all don't need, you got everything you need. You got everything you need. You don't need nothing else. Okay, now we're moving on to level 3. Okay, this is a level 3 boycott. We getting the Apple right now. Yes, I have on an Apple Watch right now. Do you think I'll be getting another one? No, I will not. Okay, not until we get our resources ethically. And I just want to say, this doesn't stop at Black Friday. There's no end date for this, okay? It's time to really think about the way that we consume, because that's where we hold our power. Baby, you have enough jeans. You have enough sweaters. You have enough coats. You know what keeps me warm? Liberation and community. So comment below and tell me what you're going to be boycotting so that we can create some community up in here and take our power back.
Our next protest is Black Friday, and here's what we're doing. Number one, we're boycotting all consumerism. You're not buying anything on Black Friday. We are not spending 1 red cent on anything on Black Friday. Number two, we are going to hashtag fight money with money. We are divesting our money from major corporate banks and putting it into credit unions. Follow the hashtag to learn more about this movement. And yes, banks are closed on Thanksgiving, but they are open on Black Friday. Number three, for those of us who are fired up, we are protesting in person. Everyone who is humanly possible that can get to Washington, D.C. is going to the White House. That means basically anyone on the Eastern Seaboard or within driving distance, or if you got money like that, flying distance to Washington, D.C. is going to show up outside the White House. And for those of us who cannot make it to Washington, D.C., we are going to our state capital and we are protesting. And if you live in a huge state like Florida or Texas, where your state capital is like 8 hours away and you can't do that either, then go to your local city mayor's office. We did it for the Women's March. We can do it for Palestine. And we're doing a social media blackout, posting the Palestine flag. That's it. Palestine, the flag. That's all you got to do. Post it on your Instagram, post it on your Facebook, on your Twitter, on your X, on your TikTok. Let's flood our timelines with our support. There's nothing that needs to be said at this point. It's been said. We're just showing solidarity in numbers. If you agree with this plan, like, comment, share. Let's get the ball rolling on social media so we can take it to the next step, which is start organizing in small groups in real life so we can all unite to make this happen. And if you don't live in the USA, but you want to join in global solidarity, we are referring to Friday, November 24th as an action day.
This is very difficult for me to talk about because you're getting a tearful post this morning. I would not have survived the eugenics test that was the second Nakba. Mentally, maybe, but physically, no. It began with dropping leaflets over the north part of Gaza, telling people to evacuate, many of whom abstained. They didn't have anywhere to go. They didn't have any means. There was no way to transport their children or their elderly. People could not even find wheelchairs. And this is having already been terrorized by bombs and depraved of food and water. The journey was 10 to 11 hours on foot. And if you stopped, you were shot. If you turned around, you were shot. People were instructed not to even bring belongings, though they did have some bags. You were not allowed to use a vehicle. Many were forced to keep their hands up and surrender for 10 to 11 hours. In many instances, families were separated, elderly, even small children, forced not to look behind them for their families, or they would be shot. At one point, there was a story about the IOF taking a vehicle and kicking dust up onto the people who were walking. Even despite the most perfect compliance, people were still shot at and bombed. And then upon arrival to the south, the same. And now they are dropping leaflets over the south telling people to evacuate. To evacuate. Even though they are not allowed to leave because it's a concentration camp. And this morning, I read the message from Bisan, who said that all she wants is just to lay in her bed in her home. And I thought about how I would be managing my own disabilities without my memory foam mattress, my quilts, my morning tea, and my biscuits. Every morning on the weekends, my children pile into my bed to give me hugs and kisses. Even my cat comes to greet me. I can't even walk through a supermarket because of my physical disabilities, and I have a handicap placard for my vehicle. I can't even fast because my blood sugar gets really low and that I have seizures. I would not have survived. And even though my life here is quite difficult, with an awareness of what is happening in Palestine, I can't be anything but grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah protect the people of Palestine. Ameen.
Zionists will deny the colonizer allegations up, down, left, and right, and then proceed to show you something like this. Come on now, what are we doing here, BB? I think with those big-ass ears, he probably heard us too clearly when we said free Palestine, the way he's grabbing land right now. This is not a curb alert on Craigslist, BB. Shit, I mean, maybe he does want peace after all. Peace of Palestine, peace of Egypt, Jordan, Saudi, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and Turkey. No, this doesn't reek of genocide or ethnic cleansing at all. This is not psychopathic at all. The whole world's just gone crazy, and you have been right all along.
Whoever the police are protecting are the oppressors, and whoever they're facing are the oppressed, every single time.
We have a major TikTok problem. Oh my God, what's the problem? They are empathizing with Palestinians. Okay, how do you plan on solving this problem? We threaten their jobs. Generationally speaking, TikTok is Gen Z millennials. They've never expected job security. Well, then how will they buy a house? Okay, so let's go back a little bit.
Taylor Swift was a victim of Israel's propaganda war. The State of Israel said on Twitter that Taylor Swift's bodyguard returned home to fight Hamas, but the reader's notes got them and said this bodyguard was actually hired by the stadium and not part of Taylor's own team. That is how stupid they think you are, and that is how desperate they are. They actually paid, this is a sponsored post, they paid to show this propaganda to people in order to get sympathy for what they were gonna do in Gaza, which we let them do, by the way. Like, they're still bombing away. Yeah, they think you're really stupid. They think that showing proximity to a popular pop star is all it takes to get Americans to support genocide in Gaza.
This image is a perfect encapsulation of the way that Israel and Zionism are inherently and deeply anti-Semitic. So for context, these are IOF soldiers, this is a Torah scroll, and they are using a combat knife to read it. A couple of things you need to know if you're not Jewish. Torah scrolls are handwritten, typically on parchment. They are extremely fragile documents. So fragile, in fact, that when you take one out of the ark at a synagogue, you have a couple of people spotting the Torah, because if you drop it, it will tear. The other is you are forbidden to touch the scroll with human hands because it is so fragile. So we use a yad, or a little pointer, to read the Torah. To read a Torah with a yad is a mitzvah. It is something that brings you closer to God. They are using a combat knife. Torah scrolls are labors of love. They are so sacred and important that we blow them kisses during prayer. Jews have risked their lives to save Torah scrolls. In Soviet Russia, Simchat Torah became about dancing in the streets with your Torah scrolls and loudly proclaiming your Judaism, even though dancing with the Torah, you risked destroying it. And they are using an instrument of death and war and destruction to read the document that has guided generations upon generations upon generations of our ancestors. To touch the Torah with a knife is something I would have expected out of ancient anti-Semites desecrating a temple. It would have been less offensive to spit on the Torah. And here Zionists are desecrating our faith with violence. I cannot reconcile with Jews holding knives to the Torah. My religion, my people are not to be attached to a state. and its violence to a settler colonial project. I'm sorry if this ruffles feathers within the community, but you have got to come to terms with the fact that we are a culture of diaspora and there is no going back. We have a unique exile, a unique obligation to wander the earth and wherever we are to make it a better place. Judaism of the knife, of the drone strike, of the bomb, that is unrecognizable. That is foreign to me. That is not tikkun olam. Holding a knife to our most sacred document and then charging into battle and slaughtering people you have kept in an open-air prison for generations is not defense, and it's not defensible. Zionism is nothing more than a capitalist colonial project propped up by the very same world powers that didn't even want us. They sure do want the oil and the power that comes with having something to prop up in the Middle East. And Israel, as much as it would like for you to believe as much, will not keep you safe from anti-Semitism. Because how is holding a knife to the Torah not anti-Semitism?
Guys, what's happening with Starbucks is phenomenal. It is beautiful. I don't know if y'all know, yesterday was Red Cup Day. Nobody gave a fuck. Literally nobody cared. Like, they were giving away free lattes out of desperation, like, at every single fucking store. They are begging for our money, and you know what happened? Starbucks workers started a strike. They just walked the fuck out on Red Cup Day. I've worked in fast food and like, yeah, the fuck you mean you're giving out free coffees right now? I'm not responsible for the damage you're taking right now. Fix your own shit. Come on. You're throwing your employees to rabid wolves right now in desperation of saving the integrity of your company. You know what would do that? Stop fucking supporting Israel. We're not coming back. We don't give a fuck. Your coffee tastes like shit. Can we just take a moment, though, to pat ourselves on the back a little bit? Because this is what we have done. They are desperate right now. We took away that much of their power. Holy shit. Good for us, dude. Keep it going. Keep it going.
Have you noticed bro code in the U.S. foreign policy is the same thing? It's clear the U.S. long-distance bestie is killing heaps of innocent people. And what is the U.S. doing? Nah, that's my bro. Frats cover up hazing all the time. This is the foreign policy version of that. The majority of people can't afford their housing. Student loan debt is ruining people's lives. Flint still doesn't have clean water. But instead of investing in its own country, we're dropping loads of cash abroad. And maybe in some cases it is beneficial, but right now that money is going towards killing and displacing Palestinians. Investing in fighting by giving money to the police and the military instead of attacking the root cause. People do crime because they're lacking a very vital need. But no, the answer is definitely to punch something. You're only hurting yourself. Or is a bar fight to me? Oh, something didn't go my way? Instead of having a conversation about it, I'm just gonna destroy everything, make everyone's life really uncomfortable. When men are like, oh yeah, I effed her real good. Meanwhile, she didn't even consent. That's colonization. Going to other countries, destroying their way of life, and thinking you left it in a better place. To follow that point, thinking other countries are doing it wrong and I'm doing it right. The US believes it's a superpower and that everyone should follow its lead. Meanwhile, other countries have universal healthcare, public transportation, and a high-quality food. Look, I love living in the US, but you have to call things out when things are bad. Otherwise, you're no better than a frat covering up a hazing, and I'm not a frat boy.
Almost all your taxes go to military installations on foreign bases, 800 of them, but no other country has a military base in America, cause it's a fear tactic, it's a fear tactic. We are a fascist police state, wasting your money, it could go to...
This is the beginning to the end of Israel. Think about it. All the leaders in the world, from America to France and Britain to the Arab countries, cannot say a single word to criticize Israel. Even though 11,000 women and children were killed by Israel live in front of their eyes, they cannot mutter a single word, let alone do anything to help the Palestinian people. But on the other hand, Gaza is standing in the face of Israel, even with the poverty, the occupation, and the oppression that they face. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, how often has a small group defeated a large group by Allah's will? And Allah is with the patient. So be patient, people of Gaza.
Atau can YouTube press respo Oce, let's go. Mula-mula panaskan kuah minyak biar licin, kemudian masukkan 5 kg minyak masak, kemudian ambil bawang putih, ketuk, prak, cincang, kemudian tumis, kacau-kacau, kemudian ambil 1 kilo cili, kemudian ketuk, prak, cincang, kemudian masukkan kacau-kacau, kemudian ambil sebiji telurmu, pecahkan, kemudian lempar, ciao, kemudian kacau-kacau, kemudian ambil 1 entong sayu, nasi besti campak, ciao, kemudian kacau-kacau, jangan tak kacau, kemudian tambahkan saus tiram, saus cili, kicap asin, tambahkan 1 sendok zakum, garam, aji namantra, kemudian kacau sampai api naik ke permukaan, kacau-kacau, and siap, kemudian lempar ke atas pinggang geng, siap, ini dia fried rice Yahudi, kemudian
don't forget that it's not just about free Palestine, but the Palestine that's freeing us along the way.